In this session, we're going to look at else. Previously, we looked at if. We are going to combine that with else. So if is not true, what we are going to do, that is the else part of it. So again, coming directly to the Visual Studio Code, what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this part out. Again, Control /. Now I'm going to uncomment this one. Again, same keyboard combination. So it is creating problem because I have commented out the variable here. So I need to uncomment that line. So the line is uncommented. Now everything is fine. Let's pay attention again. Line number 2, completely fine. New variable, assigning it to 1. Then we have line number 8, which is exactly same as the one we have seen before. If, then the open bracket, variable, then the equal to comparison operator to the number 0, then close parentheses or close bracket, and then a colon. And if the condition is true, it is going to print let's play soccer. Now, if this condition is false, this is not going to get printed. Line number 9 will not get executed. Instead of that, else, if this is not true, else, this is what we are going to do. Line number 11. So very straightforward. If the condition is true, this statement. If the condition is false, this statement. Let's see that. So I'm going to put a breakpoint right here, going to run. So let's evaluate the condition before it goes in. It is equal to 1. We have assigned 1 here, so the value is 1 inside the rain today variable. So this condition is going to be false. We can evaluate it here like so. So it is coming to false. So this is not going to get executed because the condition is evaluating to false. Now I'm going to step over. It directly jumped into line number 11 because it didn't execute line number 9. And in the else, I have print let's play ping pong, and that is getting printed. Now I'm going to make this 0 so that this will get evaluated to true. So the reverse is going to happen now. This will be true and this will get executed and this will not get executed. Let's see that. As you can see right here, the condition is true in the watch. It's a bool literal true. It's a keyword as well. So it is getting executed line number 9 and it missed line number 11. That is exactly what we were expecting as well. So if this is true, else is not going to get executed. So that is how the if else works. Feel free to play around it. Very important. It will come again and again. Now let's look at a little more complicated version of it. Let me comment this out and let me uncomment this. So we have 2 more variables introduced here. Indoor badminton court, tennis court is booked. So there are 2 more variables. The first variable is assigned to true. This is a Boolean true. So please have a look. This is not a string. This is not a number. At least not in the traditional sense. This is not a number. This is a Boolean literal. It can have either true or false. Now another complication we are seeing here is a nested if condition. It's a nested if condition. Let's try to understand it. Probably this is by far the most complicated program we are seeing in the training so far. So let's pay close attention. So it is a nested if loop. When I say nested, it means that if loop inside if loop. We need to pay close attention to the spaces we are using here. Now, let's discuss line number 16. So these 2 lines are pretty straightforward, assigning value to a variable. We have seen that. This is also very familiar to us. We are checking a condition in the if open bracket variable equal to. Before that, this part from line number 17 to 21, before that, this was simply a print statement. Now, instead of a print statement, we have another if condition. Along with that, we have a print statement as well. Now in that, we have the inner if condition has another if else. So the whole thing from line number 17 to 21 is getting executed only if this condition is true. Very important. Otherwise, these entire lines from 17 to 21 is skipped if this is false. So how do we know the scope of this if condition? Using the space. So that is where the space comes into the picture. The space in front of the line. It can be tab as well, but in this case we are using space. In fact, it is a good practice to use space instead of tab. Tab also works though. So there is equal amount of space. It is also called indentation. The indentation differs or defines the scope of this if condition. Now after that we have else if. Else if is written in Python in a short form, ELIF. Else if is if this condition is false, check this condition, then execute this if this is true. If this is evaluating to true, then execute this. And then finally, if nothing works, this is false and this is false, this else will get executed. So this is kind of the nature of if loop or if condition in general programming. It's very common to see nested if loops like this and conditions around it, different conditions. Now let's pay a little more attention to line number 17 to 21. So what happens? This condition is true. It'll come here. So it'll print this particular line, line number 17, and then it checks this condition. Based on the nature of result of this evaluation, it'll execute either one of these, either 19 or 21. So this program is there in the code bundle along with the training. So feel free to play around. In the meantime, what I'll do is I will put a breakpoint here and we'll start executing it. So right now our rain today is equal to 0, is assigned to 0. So this is going to be false. So my breakpoint is here. I'm going to remove this breakpoint and then I'm going to start debugging. I got the breakpoint here. This is the breakpoint hit. All the variables you can see here. I'm going to delete this watch. Probably I can put it 1 here so that it'll be correct. Feel free to add additional watches based on the conditions we are checking. So here I'm assigning it to true, this particular variable. So it's a Boolean true. So two variable has created right here with the value true and false respectively. Now the first condition we are going to check is rain today equal to 1. So that is a false. So this entire thing is going to get skipped. So I'm going to press F10 again. As you can see, the whole thing jumped right here. So this is a condition it's going to check right now. So the value of this particular variable is false. So this is going to get evaluated to false. So as I have highlighted this, it's already evaluating. One thing you can do is select and right click and add to watch. So it'll automatically appear here. So let me do that again just to show you that technique. This is all magic of Visual Studio Code. So I'm selecting that statement right here. So make sure that you have selected it correctly. If you miss brackets, this evaluation fails. Right click, after selection, right click, add to watch. So it'll come here if I want to evaluate it. So if you mess up the selection, for example, if I select this bracket and miss the other bracket, as you can see, there is a syntax error because I missed a bracket in the end. So make sure that you select it correctly. So in this case, I need to remove this bracket. So that is a very easy way to add something to the watch. So this is going to be false. We already know that. So this is not going to get executed. Line number 23 is going to get skipped. Let's see that. That's exactly what happened. All these conditions, this as well as this, is false. So line number 25 is going to get executed. So let's see that. So that's what happened. Now let's modify a little bit. I'm going to make this true just to see the else if getting executed. Now this condition will be true. The whole thing will be true. Let's see that. Seeing this, it's going to be false. No change there. And this is going to be true because the value of this variable is true. That's why this whole thing is going to be true. Executed line number 23 and we printed this. And obviously, if either one of those conditions on the top is true, this will not get executed. The else will get executed only if the conditions are false in the if part of the loop. Just remember that. Now, finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to execute the nested part. For that, I'm going to put this thing 1 here. This variable is going to be 1 such that this will be true. Let's see that. Start debugging. Now, same 14, 15, nothing more to say. Now, this is going to be true. So this is exactly equal to 1. So it is going to be true. 17 is executing. Now, this is also going to be true because this is true. It reached 19 and it is going to skip this particular line. So let's see that. So it is only printed this particular line. It is skipped this line, and this line. So 22 to 25 is skipped because this is true. If this is true, none of the else is going to get executed. What about this else? That else is for this if and not for this. It's very important that you don't get confused. Now let's see that. Let me make this false. Now I'm going to run. Everything remains the same. This is going to be true and this is going to be false. And finally we executed this particular line here. This condition evaluated to false because the value of that variable is false. So let's see that. Add to watch. So this evaluated to false. So false equal to true, which is false. False is not equal to true. And the execution reached here. So this is the corresponding else. And this is the corresponding else of this if. And this whole thing works inside this if. So this is very common. There could be n number of nesting in programming. It is very common in programming. Nesting of if and other things. We will see loops soon, but for the time being, just understand this whole thing is inside this if condition.